Hello, my name is Nguyen Dao Jung. I was born in 1943 in Saigon, Vietnam, though Saigon is now called Ho Chi Minh City. I now live in Sydney. I moved to Australia with my family in 1977 and have had a life that we would only have dreamed of when we were in Vietnam. This is the story of how I got to this great country. I grew up in Saigon, which was ruled by France, but then became Vietnam. While I lived in Saigon, I married Han Phuong, and we had 2 children, Le and Vo. We were all very happy until the Vietnam War began. I did not fight in the war, but some of my family members did. Sadly, my cousin died in the capture of Saigon in 1975. And then when the North took over, my brother and his family were taken to a re-education camp. This was a bit like a prison camp. People were taught to support the North Vietnamese regime. We never saw them again. My family did not want to end up like that, so we made a plan to escape Vietnam. We heard of how people would travel to a large port and buy places on boats to sail to another country. I knew this would cost a lot of money, but it would save my family, and that was most important. First, we had to escape Saigon. This was very hard, but we found a way. Then, we traveled from Saigon to Da Nang, which is over 1,000 kilometers away. We paid a man to let us get on his boat, and then sold most of our possessions and traded them for gold. This is what many people did, since we couldn't get everything we had onto the boat. The captain of the boat told us that the waters were too harsh to sail on his small boat, so the aim was to get picked up by a freighter ship and be taken to another country. We were told stories from other refugees on the boat about people who had died at sea when they were on the journey. But that would still be better than staying in Saigon. Others told us about the Thai pirates who would rob ships and steal all the gold the people had with them, and then kill them. Then we became scared. Luckily, an American freighter ship soon picked us up, and made it look like we were sinking. The nice American crew agreed to take us to Malaysia. They said this is where most refugees went, and that there was a large refugee camp there. They took us to an island in Malaysia that was no more than 1 square kilometer. It was called Pulau Bidong on Bidong Island, Malaysia. We spent a total of 2 years on the island, along with thousands of other refugees. This made the very small island very crowded. We lived in huts made from the timber from the boats and the trees, and plastic and iron sheets. The lines of the huts made it look like a shanty town. It was hard living on the island because there were bad toilets and wells. Water was rationed. There was not enough medicine, and there was terrible sanitation. Although there were all of these problems, the people were very organized and became very close. After the 2 years on the island, we were allowed to pass into a 3rd country. This meant that we were allowed to be processed to move to a better country. Many people went to either the USA or Australia. We were admitted into Australia. A total of 90,000 refugees were processed in the time Australia started taking them from the war. My family and I entered Australia in November 1977. We were told to find a place to live somewhere around the country. We went with many other refugees to Cabramatta, southwest of Sydney. Like everybody who came to Australia, I had to get a job. I ran a shop in Saigon with my family, so I thought I would just do the same here. Many other refugees tried to get jobs working in businesses in Sydney, but failed because they spoke poor English and were Asian. I decided to open a family fabric shop. I know people who opened restaurants, shops, and many other businesses. The shop did well because the Vietnamese people wanted a reminder of home, and other people wanted something new, exotic, and exciting. What better to satisfy both of their needs by providing them with Vietnamese fabrics. I am now 69 and still living in Cabramatta with my wife. We have had the best possible life here in Australia, and are very glad we managed to get out of Vietnam. I do not believe that the Vietnamese people have had a bad impact on Australian society. If anything, it has been good. We have given Australia a more exotic and mixed culture. People can get Vietnamese clothes, food, art, music, and more. This is the same thing for other cultures. Without all of these immigrants coming to Australia, the country would not have the multicultural society that it has today. I am now one of over 150,000 Vietnamese people happily living in Australia.